Thank you, Sue. You're always so lovely. But thank you so much for inviting me and for having this opportunity again to talk. It was lovely to hear Joy Kemp as well. Wonderful for the work that she's doing out there. But interestingly, what I'm saying is going to follow on a little bit of what she's talking about from a global perspective, because I have been thinking a lot in recent months and weeks about refugees and getting angry, as I'm sure some of you have as well out there, with what's going on in our countries. I mean, obviously, this is specifically from a UK perspective, but been thinking a lot about those people who are across the world who are a transient population, as escaping different things such as war and poverty, particular governments that who are almost terrorist as well, and sometimes the weather. There are different reasons as to why people become refugee status, and I've been thinking about this in relation to Christmas, because for those of you who perhaps don't know the Bible and the stories about Mary and Joseph, is that they had to go down to Bethlehem to sign themselves on, because they were at that time with a government in their particular country who were the Romans. They were occupied as a country. And of course, Bethlehem is on the west bank of Israel, which is at the moment, it is cut off as well. It's a separate place from Palestine, from Israel. It's occupied. And Mary and Joseph in Bethlehem, after they'd had baby Jesus, they were visited by some wise men who came from, they say, possibly Iraq, Iran, that sort of area, who came and were following a star. They were people who were wise people, and they went to see Herod, who was actually in charge of Israel at that time. And Herod was not a very nice man. And because he was concerned that this baby was going to take over his power, he said, right, well, I'm going to kill all the newborn baby boys. So these wise men advised Mary and Joseph not to stay in Israel at this time. And they actually went off to Egypt and became refugees. And this is all very poignant, isn't it, with what is going on in Gaza at the moment. And it's just made me think very much of those people who are transient at this time. But also what's happened in the past fortnight is that we have a poet in this country who has sadly died very recently, very young, called Benjamin Zephaniah. And if you have seen some of the poems or heard of some of the poems that he's written, he was a Jamaican man who lived in this country in England, and wrote quite a few poems about racist things that had happened to him and about his story. But what I wanted to read to you is just a couple, if I've got time. I'll just keep an eye on the time. But there's a couple of his poems. I mean, obviously, it's much better if you can see his YouTube readings of them, because he's reading them in his accent, and I don't have that, so I'm not even going to try to attempt that. But the poem that I'd like to read you first is We Refugees. I come from a musical place where they shoot me for my song, and my brother has been tortured by my brother in my land. I come from a beautiful place where they hate my shade of skin. They don't like the way I pray, and they ban free poetry. I come from a beautiful place where girls cannot go to school. There you are told what to believe, and even young boys must grow beards. I come from a great old forest. I think it is now a field. And the people I once knew are not there now. We can all be refugees. Nobody is safe. All it takes is a mad leader or no rain to bring forth food. We can all be refugees. We can all be told to go. We can be hated by someone for being someone. I come from a beautiful place where the valley floods each year, and each year the hurricane tells us that we must keep moving on. I come from an ancient place. All my family were born there, and I would like to go there, but I really want to live. I come from a sunny, sandy place where tourists go to darken skin and dealers like to sell guns there. I just can't tell you what's the price. I am told I have no country now. I am told I am a lie. I am told that modern history books may forget my name. We can all be refugees. Sometimes it only takes a day. Sometimes it only takes a handshake or a paper that is signed. We all came from refugees. Nobody simply just appeared. Nobody's here without a struggle. And why should we live in fear of the weather or the troubles? We all came here from somewhere. Sorry, it's a bit serious, but I'm also going to read another one, which is called The British, which some of you might have seen in the newspapers over the past few weeks. Take some Picts, Celts, and Silures and let them settle. Then overrun them with Roman conquerors. Remove the Romans after approximately 400 years and add lots of Norman French to some, Angles, Saxons, Jutes, and Vikings, and then stir vigorously. Mix some hot Chileans, cool Jamaicans, Dominicans, Trinidadians, and Bayans with some Ethiopians, Chinese, Vietnamese, and Sudanese. Then take a blend of Somalians, Sri Lankans, Nigerians, and Pakistanis, combined with some Guyanese, and turn up the heat. Sprinkle some fresh Indians, Malaysians, Bosnians, Iraqis, and Bangladeshis together with some Afghans, Spanish, Turkish, Kurdish, Japanese, and Palestinians, then add to the melting pot. Leave the ingredients to simmer. As they mix and blend, allow their languages to flourish, binding them together with English. Allow them to be cool. Add some unity, understanding, and respect for the future. Serve with justice and enjoy. Note: all the ingredients are equally important. Treating one ingredient better than another will leave a bitter, unpleasant taste. Warning: an unequal spread of justice will damage the people and cause pain. Give justice and equality to all. I hope that's a little bit of food for thought, and I'm sorry it's so serious, but if you also want to Google his poetry about turkeys, you might find that's a little bit more exciting for Christmas. But I just want to say to you that if anyone talks to you about how many refugees there are here, that you challenge them and you say no. They are people who have travelled here for a reason. And there are an awful lot of people out on the streets at the moment because of our government policy, I have to say, who have moved people out of hotels. And do be kind to people and do think about, actually, it could be us at any time. And I'm thinking particularly actually of those people on the Isle of Wight at the moment, if anyone's seen the news, who there's been a landslide on part of the Isle of Wight, which is also where my mother came from. So it's quite, again,
Mm.
poignant to me.
Mm.
And there are people who've had to move out of their homes. And this is being a refugee. It can happen to any of us at any time. So please be kind. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you.